Hey, welcome. So we're all talking about AI these days, right? But what about how we talk to it? This whole new dialogue is a skill that pretty much overnight we're all expected to have. But what if the way we're talking about it, this idea of prompt engineering, is just wrong? What if it's less about being an engineer and a whole lot more about just being human? Let's get into it.
And make no mistake about it, we really are in the middle of a new revolution. Just like the industrial or the digital ones, this is a huge shift. A completely new way of communicating is taking shape, like right now, as we speak. And it's not just about typing in commands, it's about having a real conversation.
And this chart just perfectly captures how fast this is all happening. I mean, look at this. Google's search interest for prompt engineering, it was basically flat, nothing, until early 2023, and then boom, it just skyrocketed. The term is absolutely everywhere.
But that brings up a really interesting question. Is engineering even the right word for this? Is this new skill really some technical, rigid discipline? Or is it something way more universal, more creative, something more, well, human? That's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
So first up, we're going to look beyond that engineering label to really get what this new dialogue is all about. And we'll be using some fantastic research from analyst Kyle Hobson to guide us.
Then, we're going to meet the people behind the prompts to really understand this new communication landscape. Who's actually doing this?
Now, the research we're pulling from is super thorough. It's based on a big survey of 259 people who are actively using these AI tools.
Plus, it includes these really deep interviews with 13 individuals, so we can see their process up close and personal.
And on top of all that, it pulls together findings from 87 different sources to get a complete 360-degree view of what's happening. So, after all that work, what did they find? Well, they spotted three main types of users. First, you've got your efficiency-oriented folks. They just want a quick, straight answer. Then there's the engaged, interactive user who kind of treats the AI like a brainstorming partner. And finally, you have the creative explorer who's really in there to push the limits and see what's possible. But here's the thing that really jumped out at me. Look at how new this is for pretty much everybody. The huge majority of people have been doing this for less than a year, many for less than 6 months. This isn't some niche skill for a handful of experts. It's a new language we are all learning at the same time. Okay, so that brings us to the real heart of the matter. What actually makes for a good conversation with an AI? Let's break down the fundamental principles, the real art of this new dialogue. The researchers looked at all sorts of guides and frameworks for writing good prompts, and they found that the same three ideas kept coming up again and again. It all boils down to these three things. Number 1, providing rich context. Number 2, defining super clear goals. And number 3, being adaptable. That's it. That's the foundation for any successful AI chat. This quote from the research just nails why context is everything. When you ask a person if a glass is half full, their entire life experience, their optimism, their pessimism, colors their answer. An AI doesn't have any of that. It's a total blank slate. We have to be the ones to provide all that crucial background info.
And that leads to this really important distinction in how we use AI. The research splits tasks into two big buckets. You've got transformative tasks, things like summarizing an article or translating text. That stuff is incredibly reliable. But then you have generative tasks, creating something brand new out of thin air. And while that's where the real creative magic is, it's also where you run a much higher risk of hallucinations, which is when the AI just kind of makes things up.
So, if we're not just barking commands at a machine, then what is this? Well, let's try reframing our thinking a bit. Let's start looking at AI as a new kind of partner in our work. I absolutely love this analogy from the research. Seriously, the best way to think about AI right now is to imagine it's a divergent intern. It's brilliant, it's unbelievably fast, and it has practically all the world's information at its fingertips. The catch? It has zero common sense, no real-world experience, and no context for anything. You have to guide it with the same kind of super clear, detailed, step-by-step instructions you'd give to a brand new intern on their first day. Right. So this total lack of real-world experience leads to another brilliant concept from Hobson, the idea of zero-value systems. What he means is an AI has been trained on billions of data points, but it has no inherent values of its own. It literally doesn't know right from wrong, or good from bad, or important from trivial.
And this, right here, is the most critical takeaway from all of this. The AI's output is nothing more than a direct reflection of the goals, the instructions, and the values that you give it. Which means, learning to talk to an AI isn't really about mastering a new technology. It's about mastering your own clarity. To get a good answer, you first have to know, really know, what you're trying to ask.
So in the end, we're left with this really profound question. We think we're teaching these systems how to talk with us, but in the process, they're just reflecting our own instructions, our own biases, and our own values right back at us. So if AI really is a kind of mirror, what's it going to end up teaching us about ourselves?